Hello, April here. Welcome to another episode of UNAWA, our online conversational series that comes from the Filipino word that means to understand. We want to encourage Filipino youth and families to find common ground and understanding with each other and aid in the normalization of mental health in the Filipino community. In this episode, we want to discuss where you can go for help if you, your family, or friends need mental health support. In this episode, it's an honor to have Emma Potter to discuss the integral role that the Canadian Mental Health Association plays in supporting the community. Emma Potter is the Director, Crisis and Navigation Support Services at the Canadian Mental Health Association, Edmonton Region. She started her career as a 211 information and referral specialist and distress line volunteer. Currently, she oversees both the 211 information and referral line and the 24/7 distress line. She has worked in the field of information and referral for over 8 years and has a passion for connecting those in need with proper support. So, Emma, I'm going to dive into some questions here. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. And so tell us a little bit about your organization.
Well, thanks so much for having me, April. And so a little bit more about our organization. So we're really an organization that's here to support people with their mental health. We want to make sure that they are mentally healthy people in a caring community. And so all of the work that we do is around building those healthy, resilient communities in providing mental health support, education resources, and crisis intervention. And a really key component of that for us is making sure that we stay in line with our core values of social justice and inclusivity, empathic and respectful relationships, and collaboration and partnership. And so we do that through a number of different program areas, one of which is navigation services. So that's my background, coming from that space. And so through that, we have a 24-hour information and referral line through 211 that people can access. We also have a more in-depth program called Advocacy and Wayfinding that helps people navigate really specifically the mental health system, because that can be complicated and challenging and scary in and of itself. In that, we also have crisis services. So our 24-hour distress line program that is answered by our wonderful volunteers with whom we wouldn't be able to provide as much support as we do. Also in that, we participate in a local partnership that provides drop-in single session counseling for free. In addition to those things, we also have a really specific and wonderful program for people who have lost a loved one to suicide through our suicide grief support program. We have peer support programs as well that are a key component of the work that we do. Through our peer support programs, we have a program called Recovery College, where people can go to connect with peers and learn more about how they can support themselves through their mental health journey and learn new skills. We also have a caregiver connections program for family members who are caring for someone with a mental health concern, which is really key. And then most people don't know this about us, but we also have a housing program where we have people who are living independently in community in our buildings with a supportive landlord, like Canadian Mental Health Association. So we kind of run the gamut of scope, but really with that overall goal of making sure that people can access the mental health services that they need when they need them.
Great. Thank you so much for that overview. It looks like you guys deal with a lot and are all encompassing, so that's really great. Based on your work experience, what are some struggles that ethnocultural minorities or newcomer youth and families face?
I mean, I think really what we see, and from my background, what I see quite a bit is like this Canadian system, this Alberta system, this Edmonton system is hard to navigate. It might be quite different from countries that they're coming from. It can be overwhelming to even understand where to go, how to access supports. And then on top of that, finding a support that will be open and inclusive and welcoming of you is also another component of that. So kind of based on what we see, that's a big challenge. And then there's also a lot of, particularly around mental health, there's stigma. There's stigma everywhere. And so that on top of it is another barrier that we see that people experience is not knowing where to go, but also being fearful of reaching out for supports.
Right. And so how do you think your organization can support them? Like, do you have programs specifically for youth, families, newcomers?
Mm-hmm. So I think about some of our programs. So specifically our 211 and our distress line program, we try to make those as accessible as possible. And though they support broad scope, they're really for everyone. They're for everyone, but also for anyone. And so anyone can call. If you speak English or not, we have interpretation and translation services available 24 hours a day. Specifically for youth on 211, if they want to text us, they can text 211,
cool.
which is really exciting. That's a new service for us. And it's really low barrier access. So you have a question, you want to talk to somebody, we're always there. We're there to listen. We have somebody who will hear what you have to say, acknowledge and validate what's going on for you, and making sure that you can get connected to the resource and the support for you. And making sure that those resources and supports that we're connecting you to are things that you feel safe, comfortable, and confident in accessing in community. So I see that as really key. And then I'll put in another plug for Recovery College. I think that's another one of our newer programs. And so it is free to access, and people can, right now we're virtual. They can go online and they can register for courses around a variety of different topic areas. And so we have a pretty big demographic of people, but it tends to be younger. So youth and young adults who are accessing those programs, and it's around things like building better boundaries, or the art of friendship, confront the discomfort. All of those types of programs are kind of built around building practical skills and helping to make connection for people.
Wow. Okay. So in terms of that texting, that's super interesting. Do you just text 211?
Yeah,
or is it
absolutely.
a different number?
All you have to do is text 211, and 24 hours a day, somebody will be there to help you and get you connected to resources and community.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had no idea. So this is great getting the message up there. Another question I have, you did mention that you have people who do translation. So there is, it is culturally sensitive. And do you have workers who can support Filipino clients?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say all of our staff are trained in cultural diversity and are trained to be warm and welcoming and inclusive, and provide that support. Some may speak the language that people are wanting to communicate with us in. Other times we may need to get an interpreter on the line to support that, but we have a lot of training to make sure that that's as seamless as possible. And people know that it's a safe space to have that conversation.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm actually getting super excited. I had no idea. So I'm really excited about this. My next question is, how has the pandemic, impacted your organization?
Well, I mean, it would be unfair to say that it hasn't impacted our organization. Certainly it's something that's impacting everybody's lives quite significantly. And so for us, how it's impacted us is it's highlighted how important our services are in community and how important it is for us to find a way to continue to offer those, even if we can't offer in-person services. So the really amazing and awesome thing about our phone, text, and chat services, so 211 and our distress line, is because they weren't in person already, we were able to seamlessly make sure that they were still available, and we're able to make sure that we're there for the surge in demand that we've experienced as people try to navigate new and different systems, understand what new programs are available, what programs may have changed that they were accessing before. And so that's been a big piece for us. And then the other big thing is just to transition a lot of our in-person, like our education programs, our recovery college, our advocacy support that was typically in person to a more virtual space, so that there isn't that gap in service and people can continue to access supports, because we know that mental health is going to be impacted by a pandemic and by all the changes and the transitions that people are experiencing right now.
Right. Great. Yeah. I guess it would be pretty seamless with the text messaging and things like that, you know.
Mhm.
That's so
Yeah, we were
great.
lucky. And it was great for our
Yeah.
staff too, to be able to continue to
Yes.
offer that support.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, pretty seamlessly. That's great. And so how can people access your programs and services?
Yeah, so our 24-hour program, so our 211 to get connected to resources and find out what's available in the community, you can phone 211 on your phone. It's toll free. You can, like
Okay.
we said, you can text 211. And then you can also go online to our website at ab.211.ca, and you
Okay.
can live chat with one of our staff members. And all of those services are available 24 hours a day.
Okay.
And then our distress line, which is our crisis line, people can call 24 hours a day by just phoning 780-482-4357. So 482-HELP is what that one
Okay.
stands out. So that one's also over the phone. And then all of the rest of our programs can be found on our website at edmonton.cmha.ca. And for that, you can learn about the programs, register for programs, or get connected in with specific support workers for what you're looking for.
Okay. Awesome. That's great.
Mhm.
And the next question is, in what situations should anyone consider getting help?
Um, I mean, I always say, if you have a question about, I don't know what's going on, I'm looking for help, ask it. And you can reach
Mhm.
out to our 211 program or our distress line program and ask those questions, and you won't experience um, shame or judgment or anything for asking those. And so I always say, if something's changing, if you're not sure where to go, if there's some uncertainty for you, please reach out. And then the other piece is, we all kind of understand how we're feeling, what our own baselines are, and if that's changing for you, if you're noticing that you're more tired, you're more stressed, you're less able to handle each new change that's coming for you, reach out for help. Prevention is kind of key, and early intervention is so important. And so it's important for us that people know that they can reach out. When they reach out, there won't be any judgment or shame or stigma for doing so. And we
Mhm.
really have everybody's best interests in wanting them to get connected.
Thank you for that. And I guess my last question, and kind of playing on the school year is starting again, we're in a pandemic, there's a lot of uncertainty. What mental health advice can you offer to students adjusting to a new learning environment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't envy any students these days. I think when we think about it, we think like change is hard and it's
Yeah.
challenging. And basically, from the start of the pandemic, that's what people have been dealing with, is change after change after change, and uncertainty about when will things go back to normal? Will things go back to normal? I know there's been a lot of anxiety and apprehension about what's back to school going to look like.
Mhm.
Um, and the only thing we know for certain is it's going to be different for people. And so I think it's really important for people to recognize that change is hard. It's
Mhm.
okay to feel what you're feeling. And it may not be the same as what your friends are feeling, or what your
Yeah.
siblings are feeling. And it's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to ask for help, and to say, I'm not okay. Those things are important to do. And I think the big piece is that we need to acknowledge that these are different times. And that means we might feel different, we might react differently, and we need to recognize that it's okay to ask for help and support, um, and make connections where we can, and get those positive vibes where we can, but also acknowledge where those challenges are, and reach out for help and support. it's not going to be easy, but we can do this, and we can all work together and recognize and acknowledge that we're in this together.
Okay, Emma, thank you so much for answering that last question. It's been quite eye-opening. Like, I didn't know about any of these services, and I think that once we get this out to the community, that it'll be really like an integral piece, so that they know that they can come and talk about mental health without it being a stigma, and being like very welcoming and inclusive. So thank you for that. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to share your expertise and insight with us today, Emma. The conversation will definitely be a valuable resource for the Filipino community. Please stay tuned for the next segment of this episode, where we speak with the program coordinator for the Family Wellness and Community Enhancement Program at Catholic Social Services. And we're going to delve into more support available to our community. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Now you can also listen to our conversations on Spotify as a podcast. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you in our next conversation.